This conversation is part of Coherence 2025, and we are in beautiful Zibreira, in the backyard of Viktor Vorsky's...
and Evgenia's house.
Exactly. And I'm interviewing António, who is joining Coherence as eco-steward and making the Coherence 2025 happen. António is representing Innovatrix. Did I spell it correctly?
Perfect.
Sweet. So thank you for accepting my invitation to this conversation, and I am looking forward to learn about how your work connects with Coherence 2025.
So am I. Thank you very much, Alex, for this opportunity, and very happy to be joining. So please ask me what you would like to know from me.
All right. So the first question is a surprising one.
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to pitch Coherence 2025 to me as if you were inviting projects.
Okay. So I have to tell you that this afternoon I was reading the document and I was talking with Victor, and he kind of asked me a question that may be helping in here. What I remember having told him was that Coherence is a new format of conference, which is asynchronous and multispatial, so it can happen anywhere at any time. And it is basically made around conversations, with the theory of change of conversations, bringing connection, bringing to cooperation, collaboration. So the idea is to have people talking about what is important to them and then having the support of AI, bringing together different conversations that may ultimately put different projects in contact with each other, different people in contact with each other. And this ability to connect what are the different apparently dispersed things but are interested in the same topics, and the same with people, also adds the fact that it is not a somebody talks and somebody listens kind of conference, but rather is a everybody talks and everybody listens, because we are talking to each other in conversations that then are somewhat, let's say, curated in a automatic way, so that it gets into chunks of small enough but meaningful enough information, so that people can then, from talking to connecting, they can collaborate potentially with each other. Would this make it? Would this make what you think that it is? What would you add? What would you take away?
I don't think I would take anything away. I would perhaps add a little bit on the context of conversations.
Okay.
Right? Because we are mostly inviting tech projects.
Mm-hmm. Tech projects that can somehow support the evolution of what we would like to see in this planet, support the evolution of what would like to be seen done. And I remember there are 3 topics, right? The business and how people make it happen, their own projects, the products themselves, and the people. Is it?
Team organization,
the
people.
Teams, the organization, the people. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I think now you got it.
Okay, I think that I got it, or at least close to it.
Well, you have just learned about it when?
Today. I mean, I learned about it in the past couple of days, but today was the day that I kind of read about it and went a bit more in depth.
Sweet. You are very good. You are already pitching.
I was yesterday in
one
one of the Zooms already, but it was, I kind of felt that, well, I need to get the hang of it. So that was also part of why I came today.
Good. And now you're in the interview and you
now
are already pitching it. This is how fast it is emergent, right? Okay, so next question. Tell me about the organizations you are part of and how do they connect to Coherence 2025?
Okay, so let me put it as short as possible. I studied economics and I was never drawn into it. I studied for family reasons. There was a family business and so on. I was supposed to take over, things changed. And I ended up finding a professional opportunity in facilitating and training. And I worked for 6 years in 2 companies where I developed that skill Before that, I had been part of an international student organization called ISEC. And in the year 2000, I ended up deciding to go on my own. And so I created a company which, because it has links with people that I already knew from before that, we ended up having a common brand. And the company is called Flow. And Flow, from the different 3 initial spots, which was, other than Portugal and Lisbon, it's Budapest in Hungary and Dublin in Ireland. Then we evolved from Lisbon to Africa. We are in Mozambique. To America, we are currently in Brazil. We are in Kuala Lumpur. And what this company does, this organization does, is tries to make the working corporate environment more humanistic. Of course, we have to do this under the promise, which we deliver, that companies become more performant. And mostly we try to do it either by skills training, a lot in the leadership and communication area, and in the cultural change. We define cultural in a very easy way to understand. If we think that a music is made of notes, a software is made of bits and bytes, a digital image is made of pixels, a culture, and it may be your individual culture, it may be a family culture, it may be a corporation culture or a department. The pixel of the culture is the observable behavior. So what we tend to work is on what are the observable behavior changes that will help the company to be as or even more performant, but with a better human ability of connection and reaction, because we know that there is a lot of frictions in organizations for all sorts of reasons. I worked in that from 94 until 2000, then on my own company from 2000 to 2021. And for all sorts of reasons, I decided to leave the operational side of the company. I am still connected, I am still part of boards, etc. But I have been finding a way to engage in a type of activity that is wider. So I wanted to have personal freedom. I managed to have it as an entrepreneur, whatever that means. I wanted to have some financial freedom. I also managed to get somehow there. And I wanted to have creativity freedom, and I couldn't make it because Flow ultimately needed to define a relatively narrow scope. And because of that, many years ago, more than a decade ago, I created a second company and I parked it in a garage. And that is where Innovatrix comes. And I started to go back on the road in mid-21 and engage in communities and projects that would be potentially appealing to what I would like to be doing. Sometimes, if I define what I would like to be doing, I like to say that I want to contribute to a world where people don't have to give up their lives in order to make a living. This is very vast, this is very broad, but this is kind of my North Star. And then I think that if we reorganize the way that we create value, being it the creation value unit, what is called the company or whatever, the way that people engage with each other, the whole redesign, I think that there is a need, there is an emerging kind of multiple operating systems in a new kind of world where value creation is being done or is trying to be done in a way where the humanity and the respect of the whole guy and the ecosystem kind of realign with each other. So these last 3.5 years, almost 4 years, is connecting to people like you, like Victor, connecting to the Gathering of Tribes, to the Fab City and the Fab Lab movements, which I had known since 2011, but I was busy doing my work with Flow and I reconnected in 2021. New business models, conferences and organizations, R3.0 with one of the places where I learned a lot about regeneration. So I am trying to find my place, and Innovatrix is my vessel in a way to do so, because I have been raised as an entrepreneur, son, grandson, etc., son of entrepreneur people. So I have this DNA of a venture should be self-sustainable. So I kind of tend to see it as something that should have its own viability. And so I am still in this process of weaving myself into what is out there and where can I serve. And Innovatrix is trying to see how it can contribute as a entrepreneurial venture, but still trying to find its way. I could go deeper into this if you would feel that it's interesting, but I'm just going to tell you that at least there are 5 areas that I see interesting. I think that sustainable mobility is one, sustainable housing, sustainable clothing, sustainable food production, and energy. And energy forks into energy production and energy storage. The only thing that they have in common is the word energy, or almost nothing more. So all of these areas interest me, but then also everything that comes with circular economy, regeneration, so they kind of intersect. There are kind of 2 ways of seeing things in a matrix way. So I'm finding my way where I can add value, where I can learn, and so I'm trying to produce the car, the vessel, the plane, the spaceship that can bring me to the next whatever years that I may be having in the next phase. How about this short answer for your long question?
This is a very in-depth, getting to know you, because we never had the chance yet to see.
It is true.
Yeah.
And we are blessed by the rain now. That's fantastic.
Shall we continue?
Yes, of course we will continue. Marco is under the shelter, and so and I brought my jacket. Actually, you have it, so you can bring me my jacket back. I can just put it on. That's fantastic. Oh, the shower is gone.
It was just for a moment?
Yes, it was just for a
Very
moment.
crazy.
But anyway, thank you. Here we go. So, we are ready for the next shower.
But if you could give me 1 line or 2 lines, how what you do connects with coherence?
Let me explore 2 ways. One is, one of the things that I perceive to be extremely needed so that we move on as a planet and as species in this planet, because the planet will move on without us. It's better that we take a ride of it and not the other way around. I think that there is a need for raising the consciousness levels. What really matters. And all of us have a theory of what matters. That's how we live our lives. So I believe that the fact that coherence can bring together people that are doing or wanting to do things that can matter in this process of upraising our ability to cope with what we have done so far and what we need to be doing forward. So the fact that it allows systemic understanding of what is happening and what can be done, it can, if the projects are successful, as they will, help raising the awareness level of people. So one is the relationship to consciousness. The other one is that the way that I am wired, I like to connect. I like to, let's use a fancy word here, cross-pollinize. But the fact is that I like to move from one place to the other, from a group of people to the other, and kind of see what dots I can perceive and try to connect them as they can. I'm not trying to paraphrase here Mr. Jobs, but the fact is that there are different realities that sometimes are separated. Sometimes they don't see the connection that they already have or they could potentially have. And I like this idea of bringing these possibilities together. I do not know nothing about a mycelium, but it apparently is part of what the mycelium does in the ecosystem and on Earth. So maybe I have a bit of a not a role, but an opportunity to do this connecting. And also, at the level that I may and that I feel like doing it, also dive a bit deeper into something and just be part of something specific or some things more specifically.
Absolutely.
Like I've done for 20 plus years with Flow, I can also, and will also do it again.
Exactly.
So it's about raising of consciousness and interweaving what can be apparent separate parts that can be somehow, again, synergetically woven together.
Good. Thank you.
Nice. It's a good thing that I did not know the words, the questions before, because then I would have maybe over prepared, and now I like it better this way. Would you have some more tea?
Yes, please.
Here we go. Cheers for the conversation.
Thank you.
And to our dear friend Marco outside there behind the camera. And to our hosts.
What questions? I'm wondering because I don't really understand that question so well.
So put it. Maybe we understand the two of us together if you ask it.
Okay. What questions and needs are is your organization bringing to Coherence 2025?
I think that's a different way to ask the previous question.
Right.
Which is, what's the value? What are the questions in the sense, what is the value in the sense of what questions do we ask, etc. So what can I say about that? I could say something like, who is out there that I know that should know about each other? Mm-hmm. I think that's a question. Mm-hmm. The other question would be, what do we in Innovatrix, and we is very presumptuous because we are only myself for now.
We is me, okay.
We is me, but the me will grow into we at some point, and in a way we are already we. What do we perceive to be more significant to pay attention to? What is more important? It's it's a clearer way to say what I just said. What is more significant to pay attention is what is more important. I can give you an example. Shall I?
Please.
So one of the things that I've recently understood, and recently I mean it's this year's thing, the value of measurement. I understand the value of measurement in a, so to say, classical way. But when I say the importance of measurement, I would like to take the word measurement away, and I would like to say value, awareness.
Okay.
People that I've come to know very recently, Paulo Carvalho, Rebecca Saltman, through Victor, etc., they are investing, and they are not the only ones, they are observing value flows. Actually, the organization is called Value Flows. And the flows that they are observing, and under their own understanding, is to measure what matters. And we are not talking about necessarily the financials or the hard stuff. We are talking about trust, we are talking about friendship, we are talking about attention. So imagine that we could agree in a kind of planetary ecosystem of what matters to be aware of, to be aware of value. And again, this interlinks a lot with consciousness. If we can have a conversation about, can we get our act together around what really matters to be valued, to be observed, to have awareness about, to have conscious about? If we do this, then people may say, oh, I'm very interested in contributing to that particular value stream. And so this is just one example of what I perceive to be one of the key things, that if we get our ideas around and our actions around together, it can be a significant catalyst of going in the direction that we have to go, without anybody being pushed, but with a mutual pulling, I would say. If we manage to find a way to show what's good, what's working against, that we should have less of, what's going for that we should have more of. Good. This is just one example.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay.
Sweet. Let's continue. I have two more.
Excellent. Two more.
So, what kind of projects would you like to invite to Coherence 2025? I've heard of one already, I guess value flows, right?
Value flows is one. So let me give you a bit of the soft stuff and then a bit, let's start with the hard stuff. Everything that is connectable with the 5 ones that I said that I started redesigning Innovatrix 3 years ago. So mobility, sustainable mobility, food production, clothing, housing, and energy, production and storage. This is something that whatever I find a possibility to bring, that's great. But then let's go to the less tangible ones. Everything around circularity. And there is so many things being done and being talked about. Circularity, circular economy, all of that. Regenerative stuff. What is being done in the regenerative arena. Bioregions. It's a concept so powerful, so important, and so many people that I know have never heard about it, never mind knowing what it is. And then even a bit more concrete in the unconcreteness. Loneliness. There is an epidemic of loneliness around us. Could we do something about that? Could we have the people that are so many people already working in the way of minimizing loneliness, not only to elderly people, because they are not the only ones that are alone, but to everybody in general. There are lots of things being done in Lisbon around trying to bring loneliness to a lesser stigma or lesser existence. Why not putting these people to talk to each other? Let me give you another side of the loneliness. I came across a friend on his early 20s. His name is Stein, and he's Dutch, but he's been all over the world because his parents were expats for a big oil and gas company. And the short and the long is that he came close to suicidal circumstances. A friend of his took his own life when he was still a teenager. All of these friends started to talk about that, and they realized that all of them were in the same boat, but they were not talking to anybody about it. So he created a company called Wear Your Heart on Your Sleeve, and through t-shirts and through clothes as the media, they intend to start conversations so that people get themselves away of the holes that they are and mutually support. This is a different kind of loneliness than the elder people have, but it's still very significant. And we know how the suicidal rates have been rising so much in the recent past and so on and so forth. So all of these things are themes that I can see that can be brought into Coherence.
Yep. Any tech projects?
Yes, that's the thing. I am not a tech person. I have no knowledge on technology. So on that particular side, only if we go back to the 5 initials that I told you, that they may have something to do with technology and with production of something. That is where I see that maybe something can be done. So I can give you 2 examples. I happened to get in touch with a company that is based in Portugal, actually started by an Israeli and a Palestinian. And they are working around expanding the possibility to create hemp blocks to produce houses, to build houses. It's called Canyamor. That's a technological project, and it can be very interesting to see what other similar or relationable projects would be there with Canyamor. The other one is a company that is now getting to be somewhere between 20 and 25 years. It was started in the early 2000s by somebody that became more than a friend. I am the godfather of his daughter. And it's a company that is reinventing mobility by producing cars that you will never be able to own. The company owns the car. And by the end of the life cycle of the car, it's going to be recycled as close as possible to 100%. And during the period that the car exists, you pay a specific fee plus a per mileage, and you have full usage of the car, including tires, including insurance, including everything and anything, even a part of the fuel. Now, it's an electric car that does not want to have anything to do with batteries. Actually,
How come?
I would show something that I don't, which is the mic, which is underneath. But here we go. River Simple, threading lightly, and
Okay.
it is the company that is producing this wanted to be as much as possible also open source car. It is very advanced in the sense that although the equity is to a specific number of people, it has 7 stewards, namely for the next 7 generations, for nature, and for other more natural type of things like the clients, the suppliers, the team, etc. So they exist and they are in a scaling up phase, highly technological, but with a totally different business model mindset. I don't know if I've said the name already, it's called River Simple. And so that is something that would be very interesting also to, at a certain stage, to bring into conversations.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, I see that it is expanding already.
Yes.
Super. Thank you so much.
Is this the last one?
Now is the last one.
Oh, it's coming to an end.
We can make another one.
The
then.
beginning is coming to an end.
Yeah, exactly. So this one is another surprise.
Okay.
What questions do you have for me?
So I would have a lot of questions about what is your past, how have you come here, etc. But I would make it a bit more in the interest of coherence, because you've been here for a while now. What do you think that it's the best way that somebody can serve coherence, from what you see, from what you know, in general terms, not in my specific terms, but what is the best way that someone can serve coherence?
Do interviews.
Do interviews.
Record conversations.
Okay.
For now, this is, I think, all the other parts are kind of already getting figured out.
So it's create volume on
Yeah,
content.
Exactly.
That's what you would say.
Yeah. This is.
Okay. So I have another question for you.
Part. Bring it on.
If you would have an extra question to me, what would that be?
With whom do you want to record your first interview within the co-steward group?
Okay. I would like to have my first interview maybe with 2 of this at the same time. Oh, with the already existing?
Yes.
I don't know all of them by heart, and I don't know who have been onboarded or not.
Doesn't matter.
But you mentioned, or Victor, or you, or both of you mentioned, Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
She may not have been yet co-interviewed, and although I've been with her in the Gathering Drive in the Transitions Lab with Graham Boyd and with Stefan Kanyamor, we haven't met that well. So maybe Sophia, and
Perfect.
in the same group, maybe with Joshua. Has Joshua been interviewed already? Has been onboarded?
Yeah, but I think it doesn't really hurt to interview somebody twice.
Again. So the 2 that came to my mind are those 2. Maybe Bart also, but that's from the people that I know that are involved. Maybe there are others that I don't know, which could also be interesting.
Good. Then when are you going to message Sophia to schedule a conversation?
Not this week,
with her?
because today is Holy Friday.
Of course.
And I will do that during next week.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah. Perfect.
And I like your sharpness on action provoking.
Yeah.
I like that. I can perceive that you are an extremely good project manager.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Victor would have a lot to choose from, I would say.
Sweet. Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you very much.
Let
me hug you.
All right.
Let's hug. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Marco.
Marco.
Let's hug all together.
Let's hug.